Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. This is Delaney, and for today's video we are going to be doing a try on and wear test of the new Charlotte Tilbury Beautiful Skin Foundation. Now this is at Sephora currently and it's sold out, so I guess this review is for when it comes back in stock, if it's good, to see if you want to buy it or not. I would like to start doing wear tests of different foundations, especially the more expensive ones. But if you're interested to see how this Charlotte Tilbury Beautiful Skin Foundation works on someone who is dry combo skin with acne, we're gonna see how much coverage it actually has and how long it wears truly on this kind of skin. So if you're interested in that, keep on watching. Alright, so we are going to go ahead and use shade 1, Neutral. This is the lightest foundation shade they have in this range, which sadly it is still too yellow warm for me. So I have on my hand the shade swatched out with nothing done to it. And this is the shade with a little bit of blue added to it to try to neutralize it a little bit. I added too much blue into this one. I'm gonna add less when I actually go to do it on my face, but it actually does benefit from some neutralizing, so I will be adding some of the blue color corrector. It's the Foundation Mixing Pigment Pro Color from LA Girl. So I'm going to add a tiny bit of this to try to actually get it to match my skin tone a little bit. It says it's neutral, but it's actually kind of yellow, at least in my opinion, compared to my skin tone. So I needed a little bit more cool, so that's why I'm going to be mixing it today. I have tried this on once with just this, and it was visibly like a different shade. So I want it to be as close as possible so we can actually judge the formula. And I do know for a fact that this mixing pigment does not affect the actual formula of the foundation. So that's why I feel like I can go ahead and do this. Let's go ahead and get into actual application. All right, so here is my skin up close and personal, nothing on other than a moisturizer after I got out of the shower. I have dry skin, so I need to moisturize immediately, but this is my skin up close. I do apologize, the lighting in here is really bright. I am working on doing my beauty room, like redoing it, making it better for filming and stuff, but it is in the middle of the day and the lighting is just all over the place. But I hope that you can actually see up close what my skin really looks like. I do have lots of acne, as you can tell, some discoloration, kind of acne scarring, a little bit here, like especially here on my chin. I do have blemishes, so we're really going to be testing the actual coverage and how this looks on someone with not perfect skin, because I have seen this foundation being tested on 1 million people, but they all have beautiful, perfect skin to begin with, so it's kind of hard to tell if I like it or not based on that. So this is what we're working with, and I know my nails are atrocious. Try not to get distracted. I'm sorry. I will be redoing my nails soon. So I'm gonna go ahead and prime the skin. I already did eye cream and moisturizer, as I said, but I'm going to be priming with my usual, which is the Glassy Skin Balm in the high points and on my nose, just places where I want to be a little bit more glowy and radiant. And then I'm going to be adding another primer on top, but I love layering primers. I actually feel like one single primer doesn't really do it all for me, so that's why layering is actually nice, especially for someone who's dry skin. So I just added the Glassy Skin Balm from Touch in Soul. I actually got this in a BoxyCharm a long time ago, and I just am now like really starting to use it a lot. Maybe it's just because it's winter, I don't know. I'm also going to use the Jelly Pop primer. I have the new e.l.f. one. I just want to continue testing that out. I don't want to try a new primer and a new foundation at the same time, because I feel like it can mess up the wear test a little bit, because what if it's the primer that's making it bad, you know? So this is the Jelly Pop Dew Primer. I have used this so many times. I'm going to be repurchasing it most likely well, I don't know. If I like the unscented version better, then I will go ahead and just stick with the unscented, but I really love the way that this Jelly Pop primer gives a dewiness to the skin and is a gripping primer. I feel like the other ones so far, I've only tried it like once, but it's not as dewy as this. Now this is a dewy foundation as well, so we're gonna see if all these dewy products underneath, if it's a good thing or a bad thing. Might be overboard, but I'm also dry skin, so the more glow, the better. I know that's not how it is for everyone, but it does advertise on Sephora's website as best for dry combination skin, dry combination normal skin. It does not say oily, but I've seen people with oily actually enjoy it, but I don't know, it's just a kind of, foundations are always a hit or a miss. It's just, everyone's skin is different. Everyone's skin reacts differently to different things too. I did want to say one thing before I start. So I did mention this in a recent video, but I was watching Teresa's Dead's video about this, and she did mention that there was coconut water in here. And I did notice the one time that I wore this before, I was getting little breakouts, but my skin is just obviously like I get breakouts. So I don't know if it was from the foundation or if it's just my skin. I'm not gonna hold it against the foundation just yet, but I will let you know if I notice a difference, like more acne because of this foundation. I do have a slight sensitivity to coconut products. It's like some, not all, it's weird. But I know for some people, coconut water can make you have a sensitivity to it and make you break out. So just be careful, look at the ingredients, make sure it's right for you before you wear it. And patch test it also just to make sure. But we're gonna go ahead now that the primer has sat a little bit. It's getting a little bit tacky, which we like. I'm gonna go ahead and put one pump, actually 2 pumps, on the back of my hand, and I'm gonna take a tiny drop of the LA Girl Blue Pigment. What I like to do is I like to have it on the side so I can add very gradually, just in case, like, oh, it's too blue. You don't want your foundation blue, but I just neutralized it just a hair because it was very yellow. I think I actually might need, might need a little bit more actually. It does read quite yellow on me, and I don't know if that's, I don't know why foundation ranges always lead yellow. Is that like a thing? Is that a normal thing to do? Maybe because it neutralizes some redness sometimes. There we go. So that's a little bit more true to my skin tone. See, I didn't really mess with this one over here. It's just, I didn't alter the color too much, but I wanted to neutralize it just a bit. So this is what I'm going to be using, and this is the original. It's just a hair more red toned than what I just did. And that is what I want. So, cool. I'm going to be using a sponge. I know some people use brushes, but I'm gonna try it with a sponge because that's how I normally apply foundation. So far, so good. This is not the most high coverage foundation in the world. I'm just gonna say that. It does have a medium coverage, and I have found it to be buildable, but not buildable to like full coverage, but you can build on it a little bit. See, the coverage is okay, like so far. I am using a sponge, so that does soak up product as well. So if you really want high coverage, a brush would probably be better. But it does have a nice like dewiness to the skin that I do enjoy. Obviously, I like some glow. Now, I have found with this foundation that I do need more than 2 pumps. Like, some people can get away with just 2 pumps, but I think also it's people with perfect skin. Like, they don't have to cover anything. I know, like, if you're just coloring like mild discoloration, then 1 to 2 pumps is probably okay for you. But if you're like me and you have acne spots and you have like a lot to cover, I don't know if 1 to 2 pumps is okay. Because this is after 2 pumps. Which it is nice, and it did cover a lot here. As you can see, it's still peeking through right here. These obviously are gonna need to be covered with color correction and concealer. Like, I'm not expecting miracles from a medium coverage foundation, but I do like to talk about that when I am reviewing a foundation. I will say the pump is like, I don't know, the pump is not my favorite. It doesn't really pump out a lot of product at one time, so that could be part of it. I'm just gonna add some more in spots where I think I need it, and then blend it out with a sponge. See, that did help a little bit around here. Obviously, it's gonna take some color correction. I'm used to that. I do color correction almost every day. I will say color-wise though, I have put this foundation on without adjusting the color with the LA Girl Pigment, and it was way too warm for me, and this actually does work a lot better. So that is a way that you can get foundations to work for you. Now, would I prefer if the foundation was just my shade? Yes, absolutely. I have foundations that I don't have to alter the shade with, and I prefer that, to be honest, because it's a lot of mixing, a lot of like tedious, is that too blue? Is that too yellow? Is it too neutral? Much easier just to have it in your shade and be able to shade match properly. But yeah, so here is the foundation so far. I have not concealed or anything. Okay, so with a sponge, I put a lot of product on my face and it didn't cover that much. I know it's medium coverage and it's just supposed to even out, so maybe this foundation just isn't enough coverage for me, and I get that. But once we put concealer on and spot conceal and color correct, I think we'll be in a little bit better shape. So everywhere else has a beautiful glow to it. I really do enjoy that. I like the finish of it. It looks very like natural with a hint of like radiance in it. But yeah, I don't mind it. I wish it was my shade. Let's go ahead and conceal. Now I will show you how I do conceal, just so we're being completely transparent and you know what's concealer and what's the foundation. So we'll get into that in just a sec. Very important part of concealing, color correcting. So as you can see, I have used a ton of this. So I love color correcting. I am doing a journey to becoming a makeup artist, and color correction is a huge, huge part of a makeup artist's kit and of their application, at least the ones that I've been watching in the courses. But this has helped my makeup game so much because I don't have to rely on caking on concealer, and I can actually color correct and use less product. So I'm going to show you how I do that real quick. So I have the green and the peach. The peach is going to combat the dark circles under my eyes, and the green is for redness, so more of the pimples and acne. So I'm gonna do the green first, and I'm just gonna take with my nail. If you're doing this on clients, you have a separate one. This is my personal use one, not my kit one. So normally with clients, you'd use a spatula, but because it's my personal use, I'm just using the back of my nail to scrape a little bit out, just a little bit. See, just that much. You don't need too much. And you could use regular concealer, but I'm gonna actually use this one. So this is like these concealer shade for light to medium skin tones, to light, kind of light, fair to light. It's kind of got a peachiness to it, but it's more similar to my skin tone. So with color correction, you do not want to just put green on a red pimple. It just will look green, and then you have to color correct for the green. So that's not what you want to do. So I'm just mixing the two on the back of my hand with a brush. And this is a brush that I got in a kit, and it doesn't have a name. So I can't really tell you what brand it is. It didn't have any branding on it. But I have the back of my brush saturated, and I'm gonna start going over my acne. I did a short about color correcting and how to cover acne with makeup, and I had a lot of questions about if color correcting was good for every skin tone. The short answer is yes, but the colors will differ depending on your skin tone. So you kind of want to know a little bit about color theory and what cancels what with what skin tone, but overall, usually the general rule of thumb, sorry, I'm using my viewfinder here as my mirror. But usually the general rule is green counteracts redness. Yellow is more for like dullness and brightening. Or I think the purple actually might be to counteract dullness. I'm not really sure what the purple does. To be honest, I haven't even touched the purple. I use mostly the green and the peach, and the peach is to counteract the blue, because orange and blue are on the opposite sides of the color wheel. Red and green also, same diff. I don't know. It's weird. It's a lot, but short answer is cover redness with green, cover dark blue, purple tones with peach. But you don't want to color correct with straight green, because then your pimple will just look green, and then it'll counteract the redness, but it's still green, and then you have to counteract the greenness, which will just be a never-ending cycle. So mix your color corrector with your concealer is the overarching theme. That is just something that I see a lot. Like people will take the red lipstick or like an orange lipstick and put it under their eyes and then cover that with concealer, that is caking on so much product when you could just be mixing a little bit of that orange with your concealer and then doing that in one step. So just, you don't want to cake on product, especially with acne. I've found the more product you cake on, the worse it is. And it may seem like I'm adding a lot of coverage on top of the foundation, but really I barely have any on the back of my hand and on my brush, so I'm really not adding too much. I just am color correcting and adjusting for that redness. I'm gonna take a little bit of that peach shade again, mix it with the concealer tone. I'm gonna use this shade right here on the back of my hand, and I'm gonna go underneath my eyes. And yes, I'm looking to the side, but I'm looking at my viewfinder. Sorry, I'm using that as my mirror. Just trying to make things a little easier. Now you might be wondering, why would you go through all the trouble of color correcting with a foundation review? Well, this is what I would do in my everyday makeup routine because I have so much acne and I have a lot. Like sometimes if I'm doing like an extreme natural day where I don't leave the house, I'm not gonna be doing all the color correcting and stuff. Or if I'm running to the grocery store or something, but if I'm like going out, seeing people and not being a hermit or a goblin in my house, I will color correct just because I feel more confident that way. But it seems like a lot of steps, but once you actually get the practice, it doesn't take very long. So I think it makes all the difference. And I want to do my makeup like I'm going out. And that's how I'm going to be testing the foundation because that's how I'm going to be using it. Next up is actual concealer. I'm going to be using my CoverGirl. I'm going to be using my CoverGirl concealer. This is the CoverGirl True Blend Undercover Concealer, and this is in shade Porcelain. I love this concealer. I've repurchased it so many times. So now that I have done all that color correcting, I don't need as much product as I would have. I'm going to help it along, but I don't need to like layer and layer and layer concealer like I would if I hadn't done that color correcting. I love this concealer so much. It's so full coverage and it's from the drugstore. It's just, I haven't found a lot of concealers that beat it, even with higher price tags. Like if I had to choose this one or Tarte Shape Tape, 100% this one. So this is a medium coverage foundation. It's pretty true to a medium coverage. It still shows my redness and everything through. I could go even harder with color correction if I wanted to, but sometimes I'm okay with a little bit of it peeking through because then it actually looks like natural skin and it just looks like I have evened out skin. But this is like what normal people who have nice skin, like this is what they look like generally. And I don't necessarily want to look like a full coverage monster. I have those days where I do, but this is not the day. Because this is it's medium coverage and it's true to that. So I'm gonna just let it be, but I'm gonna go ahead and finish up this look and then I'll be right back. All right, I am back with the finished look. I love the foundation way more when the look is complete. I know that's usually how it goes, but it definitely looks better with blush, bronzer, highlight, and everything. I think my skin still looks natural, but it looks good. I mean, it looks very evened out and very nice and dewy. So up close and personal, you can still see my redness peeking through a little tiny bit, even with some spot concealing and such. But again, this is a medium coverage foundation, so that's not really the foundation's fault. It is what it claims to be. But I did use the Blend Bunny new Dollhouse palette today. I used the green goldish row on the side here and I absolutely love it. I think my eyes are like really popping because I do have green eyes and I feel like they just look extra green when I wear green eyeshadow. So overall, this look I'm loving. Now let's just final thoughts on the foundation before I do the wear test. I like how it looks. Do I have other foundations that perform similar? Yes, I do. And this one is a little bit more on the expensive side. So it does claim to have good skincare like ingredients and over time is supposed to be good for your skin. I feel like that's a claim that a lot of brands are going to be moving towards. So is this like super unique? Maybe, maybe not. But I know in the future more and more is going to come out. I know NARS came out with one that's a little bit more skincare in the foundation. So we will be seeing more of that. But it does look great. It looks radiant, it looks dewy, it looks really beautiful so far. It looks like my skin, it looks very natural. It's like my skin but better. So I do really enjoy the look of it. Now let's see how long it wears. The first time I wore it, it did not have great wear time, but I wanted to try it with a primer that I knew instead. So we'll see. I will keep you updated, but it is around 12:03, so later tonight. I will try to do this for at least 8 to 9 hours, more if I can, and I will update you later tonight. But so far, I'm really loving it. And I haven't even set this with any setting spray. This is just, I haven't even really powdered. I just used a powder bronzer and a powder blush. So I haven't really set this down other than my concealer. So we're gonna see how this works without being powdered or anything like that, but I normally don't use a lot of powder because I have dry skin anyway. I will see y'all in a few hours. All right, so it is 9:15. It was around 12 when I last showed you the makeup. So this is how it looks about 9 hours later, a little over 9 hours. I'm sorry if I keep failing with my camera. My stand keeps wanting to like lean over, so I have to keep bringing the camera back up. But this is what it looks like up close and personal 9 hours later. Let's talk about it. I have some thoughts. So I don't know if it's just my skin being acne prone, but I do see a little bit of a bump coming right here. But other than that, it looks okay. Around my nose, it is kind of falling apart a little tiny bit. It is over 9 hours later, so it's not as bad as I would think. It is kind of cracking a little bit on my forehead. It looks like I've worn this foundation all day. I do have foundations that last longer than this, but because this is such a radiant, dewy foundation, part of me was kind of expecting it to not be as long wearing. Some people have had better wear times than I am seeming to be having, but I think it still looks relatively okay. It's just, I think it looks way better upon first application, and like for 6 hours, it still looks really great. And then right now, it just looks a little bit greasy. And I'm dry skinned, so it's weird to be oily, but I think it kind of does look greasy a little bit. Like I would think I could blot my forehead and get away with it. I feel like I need a little extra powder. I feel like around my nose, the foundation is almost gone. You see the redness here? Like that was not like that originally. Around my mouth and here, it seems to not be looking as good. So overall, I do like this foundation. I think final thoughts, like I like this foundation. I like that it is medium coverage. Normally that's what I go for. It's just not as perfecting as I feel like I've seen it on other people on me. Like I've seen a lot of TikToks of people using this and they're like, it's the best foundation ever. Honestly, like I like it and I will keep using it, but it's not my favorite foundation in my collection by any means, and it's pretty expensive. Like for example, I have the NARS Longwear Radiant foundation. This I feel like is more of my shade match. Like look at these two next to each other. This one is visibly more yellow, warm tone. Like it's not my skin tone. This is like my skin tone in a bottle, which is much easier. This is a glass bottle, which I feel like is more luxe. This is lighter and better for kits, and better for like traveling and stuff. But I don't know, like this is a dewy foundation. This is a dewy foundation. I like the coverage of the NARS one better. The coverage of this is more like a skin tint with a hint more coverage than a skin tint. So it's just not my makeup preference. Like I like the little bit more coverage that the NARS gives me. I feel like I have to really rely on my color correcting and my concealing with this foundation, which again, for people who have perfect skin, this is fine. This is great. But for me, acne prone skin, dry combination, I actually look a little oily, which is crazy, but that's a whole other thing. So the radiance actually does like, it's radiant. It definitely is. My face is shiny. I don't like how it's wearing around my nose. I don't have that problem with other foundations as much. I'm kind of conflicted about this because I also love my, where is it? I also really love my Wet n Wild Tinted Hydrator, and these are like, the Charlotte Tilbury one looks like more my skin tone than this, but I can actually finesse this one a little bit more to look my skin tone because of the light coverage in here. I don't know, like I feel like this one is almost more long wearing than this one. And I don't know why that is. I'm not sure because they both have hyaluronic acid in it. This one has squalene. I don't know if this one does or not. I don't know. I feel like I get very similar results with the tinted hydrator and the Charlotte Tilbury. So would I pay this price tag again? I don't know. As of right now, after today's wear test, no, I would not. I would actually rebuy the tinted hydrator. I love Charlotte Tilbury's products. I love the blushes. I love the highlights. I love the contour wand. I love the Film Star Bronze and Glow. I love the lipsticks, the lip liners, the lip glosses. I love so much from her. But this, I want to love it more. I'm going to have to keep trying it and see if maybe my decision changes a bit. I feel like for the winter, when I'm really, 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 really dry, this may work because it definitely keeps the glow throughout the day. But I feel like for the summer, I might get real glowy real fast and it might be too much. I don't know. But I like the luminosity it gives. I like that it's medium coverage. I like that it has skincare ingredients in it. So in that respect, it's a win. It's just, how long does it take to actually see those effects? I don't know. And do I like the finish of it better than other foundations I have in my collection of a similar price point? No, I'd probably choose the NARS over this one. If I was like, what product makes you feel the most beautiful? I think I would go with the NARS foundation over this, but they're completely different. Like this is medium coverage. The other one is more full coverage than this. So I don't know. I'm kind of conflicted. Like I thought I would have a better understanding of how I felt about this product after this, but I really don't. I'm sorry for the kind of confusion. I feel like I'm going to need to wear it more to figure it out and give like a full review. But as of right now, I like it. I don't love it. I think that's my final thought. I like it. I don't love it. Which is a shame because this is like the Charlotte Tilbury foundation that seems like it's okay for me. The other ones are very matte or like super light coverage. So this theoretically sounded the best for me. And I wanted to love it so much, but I'm just kind of like, kind of in the middle at this point. And I feel like if this was my shade, or if they had a shade lighter, I would love it even more. But because I had to add mixing drops to get this shade particularly, I feel like this is too expensive to have to finesse it. If I want a really glowy day and my skin is doing really, really well and I don't have that many spots to cover, I feel like I will be reaching for this foundation. On the days where I need a little bit more help, I don't think this is what I'm going to be reaching for. So overall, if you have normal skin, if you don't have as many blemishes as me, this may be your perfect foundation. It's glowy. If you want to glow, this is it. For me, I'm kind of on the fence. I think that's pretty much my final thoughts. This is what my makeup looks like 9.5 hours later. What do you think? It doesn't look bad. It's just breaking up in certain spots. Like that's how I know if I like a foundation is around my nose. I think that's kind of a across the board thing. Usually that's where people start seeing some mess going on. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you found this review helpful. I know 9.5 hours is not like a 12-hour wear test or anything, but I think if I wore it for 12 hours, I think all of this would be disappeared. So this is what we're getting because I'm going to bed. I'm tired. I did a lot of adulting today, so I deserve to go to bed early. But thank you so much for watching. I hope you're having an amazing day or night wherever you are. Please let me know in the comments what you think of how the foundation looks. Do you like the way it looked on me, or are you like, ugh, please don't, it's not your thing? Do you want me to do any more foundation tests? If you want, I can do the foundation wear test for the NARS one as a comparison and show you the difference between the two. If you're interested in that, let me know in the comments. But yeah, other than that, I will see you in the next video. Bye guys!